about home to talk.
I like Rich.
Empty nesters.
I was
Single
amazed how easy
people
that
that would rent a house.
process
He
was.
just lived there for a while.
It's like my oldest son,
Pretty amazing.
Joey.
Yeah, it's up there on the desk.
And he told me.
Of course, it's not a very big.
Have
you seen
No.
2020
Mainly Mary's house.
We got four.
I had a picture for him. She opened it.
Joey,
I
he's
had
got
that picture for him.
his
He's got that
girlfriend,
little
kids,
bedroom. I think she gave me a
his
picture.
wife's kids come, his
I
stepkids.
said, well, where's Rich?
And
Oh,
they're all getting together. He told me a couple weeks ago, when Joey moved out, graduates moved out, he's gonna sell the house. You see,
I
he-
have.
They're doing that right here.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I was confused.
Is that a big
fan of that?
Just tell me.
Well,
It's not a HOH, right?
Yeah, I seen that.
I didn't know if they made it 2021.
They dreams of something.
324 hours on it. I mean, Craig went over, we had to put
Every once in a while,
everybody
it's
on
just
it.
up on
Because they were worried about the body, because we were
And talk.
They're like,
She's a talker. You can see everybody be out in the neighborhood. And see it.
She's like, look,
There's nothing like walking. You can watch everybody go see it.
That process is
You're that male person.
CDR.
Those guys can be doing concrete right in the middle of it. She's around the talk.
So did I,
She
but
doesn't understand
we're out of
that.
that.
For the salt bar.
Oh,
And they said if
And you're trying to do your job, whatever it is, she doesn't understand.
Take over and hook it up.
She just wants to talk and you can't get her to stop.
We got a new battery.
brutal.
Put it
She
in.
was talking to this here one time.
Second rotation. 4% person just caught it.
I've been
Set
back.
her,
I've got connection with some.
How many hours?
I
was it?
said, good.
Good.
24.
No, that's good.
So that ran 5 hours.
No. And they've got over half of the So we're over and
Yeah, good heart.
She does.
She got a
She
good
does.
heart.
When you're, and I get it, if you're retired, that's good.
Currently it is. Yes.
Craig will look me. Brett and Craig. He's like, wait, what are you doing?
There was some
Yeah.
We can now?
Hey, thanks for the question. Oh, and your little thing there?
What?
What goes around the company? I'm after you.
All right, I will call to order the City of Tipton Plan Commission. If we could all rise for the national Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. We will start tonight with roll call from far left, please.
Dylan Dietrich.
Scott Reeser.
Mike Benjamin.
Rich Carter.
Mike Bowman.
Rich Walton.
Jackie Carden.
Jason Henderson.
All right, and we do have a quorum tonight. Any modifications to the agenda? I do have one to start. Item number 3 on our new business will be PUD discussion of ordinance 2022-01. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Any other modifications? All right, we'll move into the minutes of our last meeting from February 12th.
I move to approve the February 12th minutes as written.
I have, Michelle's got 2 or 3 places that her name is spelled incorrectly
I
on the
didn't notice
minutes.
that and I forgot.
Did you see that? Yep, right on the first page.
With those changes, I'll
With
second
those,
it.
yeah, with those changes.
All right. Thank you, Jackie.
Mhm.
So we will have a motion to approve the minutes with Michelle's name correctly spelled throughout. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's passed. We have no old business. Moving into new business, we do have a public hearing tonight. This is SP 01-2026. It's a site plan approval. Oksana, could you take us through the staff report, please?
So first, just for the setting, now that the ordinance has changed to the Unified Development Ordinance, certain site plans, certain kinds of developments have to go to the public hearing not because they don't meet standards, but certain developments are big enough or industrial commercial developments that the city found that it's good for the public to know about them and just to review them. Legally speaking, if the site plan meets the UDO standards, it must be approved. So it's not a deliberation in terms of, creating some standards. This is just simply review, did it meet the standards, and, then it needs to be approved. There is a waiver request, so today, so now we'll, I just had to set a setting because this is a new process, it wasn't there before, and so the public will see a little bit more of these kinds of developments come forward, and I think they weren't public before, like unless they had to have a variance request, so I just kind of have to spell it out. So we have a property on the Market Drive. It doesn't have an address yet. It's a vacant property. It is located about 470 feet west of the intersection of Market Road and Development Drive. It fronts on Market Road on the north and Industrial Drive on the south. It is currently zoned Industrial 1, which is light industrial. The applicant would like to add an office building in phase 1 and potentially some indoor storage building in phase 2 in the future. The use is permitted in I-1. The request is, we have a site plan. The office building is over 5,000 square feet. We have basically the building, the parking lot. There are 2 retention ponds. The retention ponds are designed to handle the drainage and the stormwater with the full scope of both phase 1 and phase 2 development. This is just kind of a note. Basically the review was done against the planning standards, but we also had a technical advisory committee review it. So the city utilities department reviewed it, the streets department reviewed it for the driveway cut location. By now, the development also went through the is it Blue Creek? Big Cicero Creek joint drainage board review, and they got a conditional approval on this property, and there is some floodplain on the property, but basically all of the improvements are proposed outside of the floodplain. So that's just a note there. With this site plan, the staff and the planning commission could request a landscape plan and an architectural plan. So in addition to checking for things like setbacks on the site plan, I also did the architectural standards review of the building, and so it met the industrial architectural standards. When it comes to landscaping, some standards were met, some standards were not yet, and the site plan so basically they just need to see our code and do adjustments. And so with that, one way to go about it is that if you were to approve it, you could add conditions that they have to revise the site plan and submit the correct information with the permit. So basically, we're not saying that we approve it as is today. We're saying that you still have to do the work to revise the landscape plan per the standards. There was one standard specifically that the applicant requested a waiver of, which is the number of shade trees per open space. So in the UDO, any area that is not a setback or an easement, which is just open space and grass, the industrial developments are required to provide 8 shade trees per 1 acre. The applicant is proposing to use most of the undeveloped lot for the agricultural use, meaning keep, I think, is the farming ground on most of it. And so staff provides analysis for that waiver in the report, because per UDO, you have to make 5 findings that approving that waiver is okay, right? So we have that the proposed modification is not injurious to the public safety, health, and welfare, that the proposed modification results in a development that enhances the use or value of area properties. The strict application of the ordinance standard results in a less desirable development when compared to the proposed development. The proposed development is consistent or compatible with the other development located in the area. The modification is consistent with the purpose and intent of the comprehensive plan and this ordinance. And so I have the reasoning in the staff report, but basically this office building is actually going to be shaped in a barn dominium style, which is more kind of an agricultural look. We have agricultural fields around and adjacent to this lot to the west. And so if the remainder of the lot basically is used for farming ground, to me, it's more of a use even at that point. So I think granting that waiver basically would be okay. And, landscaping standards are, the big part of them, the requirement is for aesthetical reasons.
Right.
So as you're considering that, if you think that look would be okay and the rest of the property would be kept up, well, that's kind of, the basis for it. So overall, I do recommend approval of the site plan, but with the conditions that the landscape plan will be revised, but then also still recommend approval of the waiver, but just for the open space landscaping requirement.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions for Oksana before we move in to Mr. Froch? Mr. Froch, would you like to come to the podium here?
Sure.
Anything you'd like to add to what Oksana said, or anything you'd like to tell us about the plans?
Not really. I mean, what packages do you have?
We have
So-
we have your application, we have your
So
plans.
I've got a couple theoretical pictures of what it's gonna look like, just to give you kind of a concept.
Go this way, you can.
Obviously, that's a house, but the concept of the building.
From to you hear anything about it? There you
What'd you say? Oh. So, concept of the build is gonna be to that scale.
Okay.
Quality level, everything like that. Obviously, might be a pool and all that kind of stuff, but that's the gist of what the building's gonna look like. It's gonna look like an old barn, Gamble style. It's gonna be two-story office building. First 30 foot of the front half is actually two-story grand opening, and then the back is second story. There's a conference room, stairs, and a recording studio behind it.
Okay. This is one business that's going to be in there, renting it out as
There's one
multiple?
business.
Okay.
They call something a module. Basically, it's a training module for agricultural businesses.
Okay.
Be it chemical or seed or whatever. They do modules to teach the individuals how to apply the processes. So they've been in business for a long time, and they're actually here in town already, but they want to stay in town and build a new building up
Expand.
there.
Okay. Wonderful.
Other than that, aesthetically, when we talk about the landscape of it's going to be to that scale. It's going to be a beautiful facility.
Sure. Do you think you'll have any problems with the waiver as far as, converting it back to standards once the ag part's gone and phase 2 starts up as far as
We're still
meeting?
going to, even with phase 2, sitting back off to the west south corner, there's still going to be a substantial amount that is still going to be under crop.
Okay.
Yeah, their business actually they work with like Corteva and all of the bigger seed companies, so they're going to have some sections that will be
Demonstration type field?
Yep,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
So there's gonna be some areas that are more than likely the southern half of the parcel is gonna be just crop.
Okay.
Be it whatever, but up front will be, this is called show crop for
Gotcha.
some of the different seed companies and chemical companies, things like that.
Wonderful.
So
Do we have any questions for Mr. Frosch? Any concerns?
Do you know how long it'll take to build this from the time you start?
from building going up to completed, probably 18 months at the most. be the longest part of it.
That's
Groundwork.
groundbreaking till occupation is 18 up to 18 months?
Yeah.
Okay.
This include ponds?
Yeah.
One big one, one small one. Is the other one coming later?
The second one, yes, coming, yeah.
Jason, I'll ask you with Big Cicero, there were some conditions there, anything
No,
out of the ordinary? so to speak?
no, we already provided a letter saying that it was approved with just some small conditional things that was working between the engineers, between Josh's engineer and the board's engineer, so it's, they've changed it, they met all the approvals that were required. Big Cicero didn't, they actually approved this, what, I'd say 2 months ago, actually, and it was the first, before they even got to here, so, Oxon does have all that documentation.
Wonderful.
And we already have our CDR in place, so that hurdle's done also. So it's ready to transfer and break ground.
All right, if there's no other questions for Mr. Frozer, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. If anybody from the public would like to speak for or against, please come up, state your name, any opinion you might have.
Can I see one of those pictures, please?
Sure, come on.
That's what you want to look at. It's not about
If the
the
actual plan.
And even though the picture shows it in black, it's not gonna be black.
Oksana, I should have asked this in the beginning. Everything's been advertised properly and notified and all those things
Yes.
taken care of. Okay.
Yes.
Do we know where the parking lot's going to be?
Directly in front. To the north.
Directly in the front, so this is gonna be set back.
Yes, so
Thank you.
But here's the Market Road, here's the building, parking. and then so you can-
So here's-
See, this is the easement right here,
That's the
buddy.
easement right
That's my
there.
driveway right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything you want.
I have all the questions to ask. Is it gonna affect,
If you could come up here just so we can hear your voice on recordings and things, and state your name.
my name is Deborah Bush. Is it, I have a septic out there that runs underneath. I know you've talked to Evan Smith about this. It's not gonna be bothered.
no,
Is
not
it
at all.
gonna be, okay, that's my only question.
Yeah, not at all.
It's not gonna upset anything that has to do with my house.
And the
Okay.
drainage to the house won't be affected.
It actually can't be if they
Yeah.
Correct.
have to.
The house actually is on highland compared to, so.
By state law, they can't.
If he were to build something that were to start flooding you out, he'd have to remediate it.
Okay,
So, and engineers take a pretty good look at that because that is a concern with flooding other people out, and that's why they have retention ponds and things like that. So definitely a valid concern, but there are laws in place, not just us up here. It's a big thing.
okay.
Us at the city also have looked at that, and we discussed it with the health department and the county, so we're on top of that.
So there's not a problem with the septic system that's there. Not
Correct.
gonna be affected.
Correct.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, with that, without objection, I'll close the public hearing, and we can have our discussion. Anybody have an opinion or anything you want to talk about?
I guess I would jump in, looking at the landscaping plan on exhibit 3 that I know is gonna be changed, but it's still nice that, Josh and Neil are, maybe stepping above what's needed with the buffering between the front part of the building and the, residential development that's to the west. It does make sense to grant the variance simply because if you follow extremely what's in the UDO, some of the plantings could be, we ran into this with the stormwater facility, there was a requirement that there had to be trees planted on all sides, and some of them were going into the regulated easement, which we were fighting, saying, no, you can't plant those trees in the regulated easement. So there was two ordinances kind of in effect, or that were in conflict, and this could be the very same thing if if the petitioner had to follow the exact UDO without the variances granted, they would be placing trees all along that part, even when they were going to do this new farming and things like that. So I think Oksana's recommendation on the approval of site plan with those waivers, with those conditions for that landscape makes a lot of sense.
So you say no trees in regulated drainage easements?
That's right.
So Oksana, I'll ask this. We really have two motions to approve here, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
because one is for the site plan, one is for the waiver.
Gotcha.
I have a question about how many people do you think will be in that building? How big is the parking lot?
Day-to-day business, 5 to 8 at best. There could be, I wouldn't call them events, but there could be gatherings that could be 40 to 50 people, but that could be just a like conference or something like that that's gonna happen there. But on a day-to-day, 90% is 5 to 8 people.
When there are 40 to 50, and if you would come up here, sorry, just so we can hear you. Where are you gonna put them? Cars and trucks.
Probably it'd be off-site parking or something like that. They'll figure that out. They won't be like all over the place, parking on the street or anything like that.
Guys down there have any more questions, discussion?
You said that there's a phase two where you'll be putting up other buildings
Potentially, yes.
for this company,
Yes.
So
Well,
these two,
for
these
this
right now.
for this owner.
Yeah, they're on, add that pond on
And
phase 2
what-
and 2 buildings.
And those are gonna be commercial buildings or they're gonna
Just
be,
structure buildings for storage, off-site storage for possibly campers or boats or things like that. No outside of the building storage, but somebody's got a camper they want to store or a large boat or something like that. But they're not, they would not be storage units for random stuff. It'd be
Okay.
for items like that.
Be more a pole barn?
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
Correct.
And I will have to say that because the parking right now, when I checked, it met the standards for the office only and not for the
Right.
storage buildings. This would be approval for phase one development. They have all of the details because when they were going through the state permits for drainage, it's just better to have all of the improvements at once and just get one permit at once. But I would say that future developments of those buildings, the site plan would have to come back for the approval of the buildings, any additional parking,
Okay.
any drive designs, if certain changes would be needed, that would be a separate application, whenever that happens, because we also don't need that. So phase one is what we are actually technically approving.
Michael, you have something?
The one thing I was thinking about is in our staff report, we mentioned about the frontage and they're updating the site plan, that they're gonna update the frontage as well, correct?
Yes.
And that is actually in
Yes, in both, yeah.
B on their recommendation, so we'll just make sure we cover that when we make our motion. Anything else?
You go with your replacement?
No, we're good.
And then I'd have no
Okay.
concern.
Would anybody like to make a motion either way?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, the site plan.
Second.
Okay. Want to state it a little more like the recommendation, just to cover all of our bases?
With the conditions.
Yeah. Did you see her recommendations in here?
We're right there, A and B.
Sorry, give me 1 second.
Yep.
I don't have the site plan in front of me. Make a motion to approve the street plan UDO 6.2. The plan recalculated street trees using the correct frontage and update the landscaping details.
Is that it? So we're going to approve SPO 1 2026 with the revised landscape plan for street trees and front yard landscaping. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right.
I'll second.
Thank you, Dylan. All right, and we do need a roll call vote for both of these.
Okay. Huh? So, do you want to recuse yourself? It's okay if you want to.
Yeah.
Okay, you can just state for the record that you would like to recuse and what.
Okay. I just didn't want to cause a problem.
Okay.
You want to go ahead and do that now? What, before we vote?
Yeah, I'm going to recuse myself from voting since I am related to this couple here, the Cottinghams and and Debbie Bush. So I'm going
I
to
think that's,
recuse myself. I don't want anything to come back as questionable for any of us.
sure. Anybody have any issue with that? I think that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So, okay. We do have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? We'll just do a roll call vote for this, for the site plan.
Okay, Mr. Benjamin,
I approve.
Mr. Bowman,
Aye.
Mr. Carter,
I approve.
Mr. Dietrich,
I approve.
Mr. Reeser,
I approve.
Mr. Votak.
Approved.
Okay, motion passes.
All right. And we do have the waiver to consider as well. If anybody would like to make a motion on that, this would be the waiver of shade trees per acre.
I'll make a motion to approve the waiver request of UDO 6.2.1, which requires 8 shade trees per acre open space on the lot based on the waiver findings below with the following conditions.
Second.
If we could state those conditions, just so
Number
they're.
1 is to submit a site plan that shows the area devoted to the agricultural use with the ILP permit. Number 2, if the agricultural use ceases, then the property owner at that time when the use stops shall apply for an ILP and provide landscaping per the UDO landscaping requirements.
Thank you. Dylan, you
So
still?
we need to know the waiver findings.
You can just in the motion with the findings in the staff report.
With the findings in the staff report.
And Dylan, you're still?
I
All
still
right.
second.
Dylan's our second. Thank you. And we'll have another roll call for that, please.
Okay, Mr. Benjamin,
I approve.
Mr. Bowman,
Aye.
Mr. Carter,
I approve.
Mr. Dietrich,
I approve.
Mr. Reeser,
Aye.
Mr. Votak.
Approved.
Okay, six yeses.
All right. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Froge. With that, we'll move into our next item. These are our rules and procedures. We went through these quite extensively last time. Thank you for all your work adjusting them, fixing them, and not making all of our changes. I looked through them. I thought they were exactly what we had discussed, unless anybody has any concerns. We just need a motion to approve those.
I'd make that motion.
Thank you, Jackie.
Second.
Thank you, Rich. Any other discussion before we vote? All right. Do we need a roll call on this? Sure. Why not?
You want to start with him?
Over here.
Okay.
Roll.
Yes, please.
Mr. Benjamin.
Aye.
Mr. Bowman.
Aye.
Mrs. Cardin,
Aye.
Mr. Carter,
Aye.
Mr. Dietrich,
Aye.
Mr. Reeser,
Aye.
Mr. Votak.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Motion passes. Thank you. All right, we'll move into item number 3. I'll give a little background here. So with the UDO, we approved a zoning map. The property I'm talking about is the 140 acres or whatever it is out on 28 behind the jail, behind my house, if you know where I live, but along there. We approved that as an ag use. It's currently a field as it is. Back in 2022, Arbor Homes wanted to build a development there, Canal Run, 338 homes. It went through the process, everything was approved. And one of those things in the process was City Ordinance 2022-01, which spells out basically you have to build exactly Canal Run. It refers to Exhibit B. Exhibit B is the map of Canal Run. So it's very limiting on what can be built there currently. It still exists as an ordinance, even though we've made it ag. So Mr. Valtaw and Joe Van Bibber have been discussing this. It kind of needs to be repealed because it leaves two problems. The first guy to show up with 338 homes and wants to build it, there's nothing, he's following the law, it has to happen. Two, it doesn't allow any other development to happen. So somebody wants to build 100 homes there, it doesn't fit, right? So there's no flexibility in that. So it's one of those things where we have to kind of start the process to ask the council to rescind that ordinance and repeal it. And then they have to repeal it. Then the next person that shows up that wants to develop there, they come through the process again, right? For what they want to build, how many they want to build, how it's all going to fit. You guys do your thing with utilities and streets, and we do our thing with planning and all of that. So Oksana, we just need a motion to tell the council we would like to have that rescinded, and then they go through their process, or
We have to.
So basically, yes, you will do a motion just to say that we support it and would like the process to get started, because both planning commission and the city council can initiate a rezoning or this kind of action. And then, I can talk to the city to see when I can start working on it, because then the staff will have to start the process of doing the notices and pulling the documents together, because this is a property with, legal description, things like that. But this will start.
so we kind of need to just give you permission to get the ball rolling.
Yes.
Okay. So I did all that talking. I don't know if anybody wants to discuss it further or if we want to make a motion, but I cautiously bring this up personally because I was the guy who was the most against the arbor development, right? I was the guy that brought 100 people in here and had, torches and pitchforks. So I don't want to come across as the guy who's anti-development there. I'm not, but Canal Run was not the right development there, in my opinion. And now we're kind of stuck with it until we repeal this and get something new. So with that said, anybody else want to discuss anything?
So so the city itself can go ahead and initiate the ordinance without the board doing anything. My question would be, so if they repeal it, so then if they wanted to rezone it to something, it would open up some other options. If they wanted some industrial one to go in there, they could rezone it to industrial.
It would.
And Cortiva or somebody can push further to the south.
Right now, the only available development there is Crop, 338 homes. So that's kind of the impetus for the pushing for the change.
And they're just pretty much asking as a courtesy what the opinion of the board is, if there was support for it, because they could institute a revocation of the ordinance themselves.
Yes.
Without the board taking any action. I just want to make sure that there's nothing that this board has to do, right, Mr. Bowman?
Correct.
Okay.
We can't rescind that ordinance, right? We can only basically send our opinion, our sense of feeling that this should be undone. Right? And then they don't have to do either.
And also from the legal perspective, it sort of expired because the ordinance was adopted, and both per the old zoning ordinance and per the new UDO, if no other action happens, like if the subdivision process wasn't initiated, technically that ordinance expired. So it's more of us saying it expired and we are actually removing it for sure.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
So-
Because I think one thing we should push for when the next PUD comes through here is there should be an expiration built into that, right? If the building doesn't happen within 6 months, 18 months, 2 years, whatever we want to make it,
Yep.
we need to make it sunset on its own so we don't have this the next time if nothing happens, right?
Yep.
You're up, if you'd like.
I think we'll make a motion to start the process to rescind the PUD and let Oksana work with the council and the city to get this process started to do away with ordinance 20-22-01.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Rich. I think we should do a roll call vote on this.
Who seconded it? I'm sorry.
Rich Carter.
Rich Carter.
was like, I don't recognize the voice after the first minute.
Small but mighty.
All right, Mr. Benjamin?
Aye.
Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Mrs. Cardin?
Aye.
Mr. Carter?
Aye.
Mr. Dietrich?
Aye.
Mr. Reeser?
Aye.
Mr. Vaughn?
Aye.
Thank you all for that. With that, we'll move into public comment. If anybody else would like to speak about anything else we haven't talked about, now's your time. All right. Any other discussion amongst the board? All right. Sheriff again.
Pizza.
That's on him.
Oh,
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Jackie.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, Josh.
Sewer line where?
I didn't turn off all the mics because what I was about to say is.
Yeah, I know.